Welcome back to Rise on Faith, where we rise not by perfection, but by surrender, discipline, and God's grace. Today's episode is powerful. I'm joined by Coach King, who is 526 days sober, has lost over 100 pounds, and has completely transformed his life after addiction. This isn't just a story about quitting something, it's actually about becoming someone new. If you've ever felt stuck in a cycle, if you've ever told yourself, this is just who I am, today's episode is proof that God still rewrites stories. Let's rise together. Welcome, Coach King. How are you today?
I'm good.
So, who were you before sobriety?
I wasn't far off of who I am now. So the God portion has kind of always been there. I was just more aggressive, more temperamental. So before I started doing mindset coaching, before I got sober, I ran a car dealership. I did continue to run the car dealership, but I was aggressive and I made bad decisions financially and I drank and I was always hungover and the other things that went with that. And I was undisciplined and unroutine and I was eating at 1 in the morning and at 1 in the morning I would sit at the bar and DoorDash food to the house, and I'd make sure that I ordered it like at about 11:45, right before BW3 would close. I would do a grilled chicken wrap, chicken cheese, medium sauce only, with fries and cheese, and then I would also get 10 boneless wings. So it would be delivered, and then I'd get home from the bar 2:33 in the morning, pick it up off the porch, go in and eat it, then go to bed for 3 hours and wake up telling myself I was sober and go to work.
Hey, you know what? You still showed up though, even though it wasn't the exactly you fully, but you still showed up and you kind of had a routine down. So that helped a little bit, right?
It was easy to routine because my kids come, I have them 50% of the time. So it was pretty routine.
Right. What addictions had the strongest hold on you?
It was the alcohol. They
Okay.
they gateway to everything else.
Yeah.
You know, part of that is you tell
And
you that alcohol. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was say part of that is you tell yourself alcohol's it's legal, so this
Mhm.
can't be bad for me. Uh,
Mhm.
of all of them, it's the one that can kill you the most. Not that the other narcotics or the illegal stuff can't, but alcohol long term use, you almost can't stop using it. I was fortunate I didn't go through withdrawals, but other people, your body becomes so dependent on it. If you stop drinking, you kill yourself.
Yeah.
From
Yeah,
the way.
my
Yeah, I didn't do a lot of drinking at home. That was the crazy thing. So I was more of a binge drinker or a functional alcoholic. I
mhm.
would be, it was just go to the bar so I could socialize. And
Yep.
one beer turned to two beers. One beer turned to two beers. Two beers turned into 13 or 14 shots.
Mhm.
Then,
Yep.
you don't realize you're still drunk 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. You're not as drunk, so you're telling yourself you're sober.
What lies were you believing about yourself during that season?
What lies? Well, number one, that I was fine. I was operating at 100%. And, you look back on it, you're like, you weren't even close. I'm a pretty high functioning person. So a lot of times, me running at 65, 70% is somebody else running at 100%. So it was easy to tell myself there's not a problem because I'm accomplishing more than my peers. I'm more efficient. We're getting our job done, but I'm hungover all the time. I also told myself that I needed the alcohol to fit in. I believe that is one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves when it comes to drinking is we have to have this to fit in. I mean, the industry that I work in or the work function, other people are going to be drinking and they're gonna think something if I'm not, and which isn't true. You might have a couple people say something, but typically the ones that say something are the ones that if you dig deep, there's a problem there. Your responsible
Yeah.
drinkers are like, yeah, you, okay, you're not drinking, no big deal. Do you want me to get you a pop? What do you need water? What do you want?
Yeah.
It's the other ones hiding the addictions that tend to show up. Just do two or three. And it's like you didn't say do one. Like you said two or three. Like what are we? So Those
No,
were
that's good to look at that as because I didn't drink that much. It was like every 6 months to a year or something, but I just realized when I did, it was not good for me. So I stopped drinking and I went to it's like an event that was like a coaching event and it was like this big fancy dinner and all this stuff and they were drinking and everybody just kept coming up to me like, "Why aren't you drinking?" I'm like, "Because I've chose not to drink because it's not good for me and my health." And it was just like,
for a while you almost become a social outcast because you
mhm,
walk into the situation unsure. You're like, hold on, how do I act with everybody else drinking? And really, if you just give it literally 10 minutes, they don't even realize you're not drinking. So if you just show up 5 or 10 minutes late, they've already had one or two drinks. They're not paying a bit of attention. You just grab like a Coca Cola or something and walk around with it just in a glass.
they have
That's
no idea. Yeah.
right. As long as when you sit the drink down, you pick it up and you smell it before you have a drink of it, or you just, I always encourage if you're going to do that, don't even pick that drink back up. Go back up and just get a new pop because you never know if you're picking up somebody else's with alcohol in it.
Or yeah, like just being in a setting, like people can put things in drinks and we don't know.
Going to say that guys don't have to worry about that as much, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
women have to worry about that a lot. My daughter's 22 and she graduated from college. And when she went off to college, we had the conversation. Nobody buys you drinks, you buy your own drinks. But if you set your drink down, you don't pick that drink back up and drink it. You just go get a new drink. We had that conversation.
Yeah. What was the moment you knew you couldn't live like that anymore?
There were several of those moments. I ignored most of them, but the last was the last day that I drank and used anything. I got put on leave from my employer at the time for 19 days, and you're talking, this is probably 16 days in, and I knew I had to be back to work soon, so I had to get my system cleaned out, and there was no way it was cleaning out in that amount of time. Some of the stuff was in my system 8 to 10 days, and it was stuff that was supposed to be out in 3.
Mm.
So I just kind of had probably a mental breakdown that day. There was a combination of two different things plus alcohol that were done.
Mhm.
I remember just being in my living room arguing with God, asking him why he wasn't helping. Then I went out in public and I was in a bar. And then you're talking probably 4:30 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
So at the bar, people were coming in after work. And it was like I could hear everybody's conversation. It was kind of like a scene from a movie where you see somebody with mental issues and the movie will portray like they can hear everybody talking in their head and they're kind of going crazy. And in that moment, that's what was going on. Like I just thought everybody in the bar was looking at me. Everybody in the bar was talking about me. Um, so I was probably borderline going insane.
Mhm.
I left the bar, went somewhere else for a minute, finally got it all together. This was after I'd gotten out of an Uber because I'd sent a message that I didn't know. I was so drunk and high, I didn't realize I'd sent a goodbye message with the intention of taking my own life. So, all of that had culminated just into this mental break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the little store across the street, and about 20 minutes later, I got it back together and called another Uber and went home. And I had stuff on a plate, alcohol out, and God just put me to sleep on my couch for a couple hours, and I woke up, and the desire to do any of it was just gone. It literally was just gone, and it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, and that's how he works. He puts I feel like so many things in my life where I've been wanting to get rid of it, but it's like you have to be at the ultimate breaking point
Right?
before you're going to get rid of it because otherwise you're just like, "Oh, it's okay. It's not a big deal." But when you're at that point, you're like, "Okay, I need to change something." And you just finally break and give it to God. And then that's when he's like, okay, you've been through enough. Like,
Right.
we've got this, now you're not going to desire that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's very powerful in that way.
I thought I'd hit my breaking point a few times, but that was the breaking point.
Isn't that crazy how he works like that, though? I guess people don't look at it as an addiction, but I do. Or some people do, some people don't. But I was like addicted to I'm not gonna say men, but like that was like my stress relief, you know what I mean? So like I would turn to that and I got frustrated with myself because I knew I was worth more and I
Mhm.
knew that God was there, but like it was just that temporary thing that I just, get like, oh, it's going to relieve the stress. And then afterwards, I would just break down and be like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Right.
And then it was finally at the breaking point of like realizing I am worth more than that. And I will wait until my husband comes now. I don't need that because God gives me that. It
Right.
took a very long time because I started at 11 years old. I know that sounds crazy, but 11 years old, I started doing that. I started drinking and smoking weed too at that time. And I had broken the habits of the weed and the alcohol, but that one thing was just it took me up until I think it was about a year ago now that I finally just let that go. So it's hard, but it's God's timing, right?
We're sculpted by what we see and do in childhood. People don't realize how big of an impact that is. And it's not those teen years a lot of times, it's the preteen years. That's where it's conscious a lot of the work gets done. And I'm a household of alcoholics, and my family's a bunch of alcoholics and addicts. So even though I didn't drink until after high school, it had already been the thought had been formed subconsciously. This is what you do when you have parties at your home, or this is
Mhm.
what you do when, sorry, this
Yeah.
is what you do when you go out. This is what you do when you have family dinners out at a restaurant. So all that was formed without me even really realizing that had been formed.
Like my aunt owned a bar and I grew up in that environment. So that makes sense of things
Yeah.
being formed when we're younger. So what was it fear, exhaustion, God, or clarity that woke you up? So you're saying it was God, right? So we kind of answered that already.
Yeah, I think
That
it's, if I'm going to answer that question, it's all three of them. There was the
okay.
fear of never regaining the respect of my children. Also, there was a clarity there of, hey, this isn't normal. You're hearing voices, and this isn't the way you want to live. Let's be clear here. You want your kids back around, and the only way you're going to do that is not drinking. And then God is the one. God helped me take the urge away and bless me with the willpower to just not have to deal with it. So it was really a combination of all three.
Yeah. And that makes complete sense. What did surrender actually look like for you?
The first 90 days of surrender for me was crazy. I left the stuff on the plate in my home above a microwave for the first 90 days. And then the alcohol, there was a case of Bud Light bottles, 12 pack of Jack Daniels Country Coolers, and a liter of Jack Daniels Jack Fire that sat on my fireplace for the first 90 days of sobriety. To me, looked like temptation. And I made it sit around me, so I had to sit and look at it and train myself to know, like, even though it's there, because again, you're going to be around it in everyday life. So at some point, you have to train the brain that, hey, this isn't something that I want or need. So let's learn to do that now. That's what surrender looked like. Surrender still looks like arguments with God, unfortunately. We go back and forth. I'm like, buddy, why? It's also led me to a lot of places being adopted as a child. I was adopted by my biological grandparents. And I always asked why. Why me? And I was always given the story, you were the first grandchild. I have a brother, it's a biological brother. He was adopted by a different family, a wealthy family. And it wasn't until we removed the alcohol and drug issue that I got the answer to why there. And the answer there came in that surrender moment of you had to go through that, because if you didn't, you wouldn't understand how to help somebody else going through it. You had to experience it. And he didn't apologize to me. He didn't say sorry for putting you through that. He was like, hey, this is what your design is, buddy. Like, and just kind of like you would your own kid, like, this is what it is and deal with it. But this is what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome. But thank you for finally answering the question for me.
Right.
40, 48 years later, at least got an answer. A lot of people never get to the why God answer. Why me, God? Why this? I got my answer and I didn't like it, but it was an answer.
Yeah. and we do like the answers, but then sometimes we also like sometimes we can like the answers. Like with my Lyme's disease for 13 years, I was in pain, and I'm asking him why am
Mhm.
I in pain? What is going on? Why can't I get help without the like major medications? Because I saw my mom go through, organ failure and all these problems with being on medicine. And I'm just like, why? I want to figure out this. I'm trying to eat healthy. I was trying to work out. And now 13 years later, I get the answer, right? And it wasn't even what they said I had this whole time. And I'm like, well, thank you, God. But 13 years of pain and now I have to,
What are we doing here, buddy? What are we doing?
yes. And again, it's because you're gonna have a testimony and
Right.
like he had me grow out my hair and stop dyeing it. And now she's saying I can get the color back. And I'm like, you sometimes we don't like the answers or what he's doing, but at the same time, he's so strategic, he knows what he's doing. So, why do you say mindset, not motivation, changed everything?
Because you have to change the way you view things. You have to change the way you view yourself. You have to change the way you view alcohol if you've developed a relationship with it. You have to change the way you view food and the way you view your daily habits. Your view has to change on everything. And the only way you're going to change your view is to be motivated to do it. So motivation that's the easy word to put in there. Just be motivated. Well, that doesn't explain how you're going to do it. I'm motivated, so it's all gone now. No, no, it's not the way it works. You have to change your mindset. You have to
Yeah.
wait. You have to change your relationship with all of these things in your life, including yourself. And that's the biggest changing a relationship with yourself is the biggest one. I was fortunate. I already had a relationship with God and Jesus. That had to be altered a little bit, but that's still the relationship still like me with my kids, right? Typically we view him as we would want, we view him as our relationship with our children is viewed. Um, how we parent is how we expect him to parent us, at
Mhm.
least in my opinion.
No,
Uh,
yeah, no, I agree.
it's a mindset shift more than anything. And that goes with anything. That's not just alcohol, any kind of it doesn't even have to be an addiction. If you're constantly feeling stuck, which a lot of people are, people know how you feel. Like I can look at somebody like, I know how you feel as a failure, as a parent, and failure as an employee, and failure just as a person or low self worth. These are all things that we tell ourselves in the mind. And once we start talking to ourselves differently, we start to check the boxes on all of these things to turn ourselves mentally into the best version of us. And as the mind goes, the body's going to go.
Yeah.
When you're your good example is when you're in the gym, your mind's like, we have to quit. That's enough reps. 10's enough. And then it mentally tells you you're fatigued, but the truth of it is the body will push well past any limitations that the mind puts on it. So once you control your mind, you control everything.
Yes. Yes, that's so correct. I have found that we have to control the mind and the mindset because when I got my testing done, she said I don't have any like depression or anything or I think it was stress or anxiety. No depression or anxiety. And she's like, this is great because that's what you need to heal your body. Yes, we can do everything. We can give you the supplements, we can give you all the things that you need, but without that mindset and telling your body it's going to heal,
Right.
you're not going to get as far. Yeah. So,
Yeah. You control the mind, you control everything around you.
yes, yes. How did you break old thought patterns?
So I started doing the work, number one, taking the alcohol out. You start to think cleaner and clearer. It takes a while, but you do walk through a period where you're sober drunk, control that thinking and understand what path you're going down. But it's easier to start to control the mind when it's not clouded all the time, right? The flip side of that is when it's not clouded, that means you have to face those things that generated fear or concern or sadness. And we're now doing them without substance. So it makes it a little harder. I got to a point where, I'd been journaling a little bit and, just kind of looking at myself in the mirror in the morning and changing things, something as small as, and here we're all guilty of it. You're standing in the mirror, for a guy maybe in your basketball shorts, just waking up in bed and seeing your body. But instead of telling yourself, oh, that looks terrible, switching that to, I probably could use some improvement there. Just little changes in the way you speak to yourself in that manner, replacing that looks terrible or I can't stand how that looks, or and just simply sliding the word, hey, I need to probably improve that area. Change your mind. That changes how you think and view things. And then I hired a life coach. I mean, I've hired 2 life coaches, to help me continue to go through deeper journaling, asking myself the right questions in the morning and at night, making sure that the mental was being attacked. Let's uncover. My program's called Storm 41. It's just designed to ask simple questions for you to think on through the week. What's the question of the week this week? The journaling question for the morning, journaling question at night. And eventually, as you journal and answer these small questions, you see where your thoughts, in the morning when you wake up, everything that you say to yourself it's your subconscious that talking to you. You're not consciously telling yourself all of these bad things. So as soon as your eyes open in the morning, when you get past the I'm tired, which takes about 2 minutes, everything then is subconscious. I can't move because I feel like this. I don't want to go because of this. So as you start to see the patterns when you're journaling in the morning, you can start to break them. And you break them by the way you set yourself up going to bed. Talking, making yourself understand you're worth things. And you can see as you're journaling the shift from the negative waking, but it's always followed by the positive affirmation journaled the night before. So you eventually get yourself into a positive cycle of speaking to yourself. And it's gradual. You don't really see it until you go back to day one and read. You're like, negative, 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 negative. No, that's a little positive. Then all of a sudden you run a solid 7 days of pure positive. And that's when you can tie to that also is my starting to shift mentally, physically there. So there's power in stopping to listen to yourself.
Yeah, I always say we got to go within. When we
Right.
want to find that peace and that joy, we got to go within. It's very hard. That's like one that I feel like the toughest things I had to go through, going within and finding out who I am and what I am and being positive.
Typically, when you know that the within work needs to be done, what I found a lot of people don't want to do it, including myself. There's things in there that you don't want uncovered. You're okay with those being locked away. Let's keep that box put in that closet. I'm okay. It's there. I don't want to unpack it and deal with it. But once you start to become okay unpacking those boxes and dealing with the mistake or what may have happened in childhood or this tragedy or this trauma, as you unfold that and deal with it, there's a freedom that comes on the other side of that. It no longer controls you and it no longer controls how you think.
Yes, that's very powerful. What daily disciplines protected your sobriety?
Daily disciplines, the journaling, my social media, because that was set up. I'm not a big believer in social media. You know me, Mindset Coach King on my social media outlets. That was set up as originally for me to have a video journal of myself, right? Turned into accountability for me as people watch the journey. So that was a big part of my daily. I still go to like an NA meeting, maintenance wise, once a month. I encourage people to go find what works for you. My journal, I have the accountability set up. My kids have my location. There's daily check-ins there. I mean, it's not even daily. It's like on the hour. Like, Dad, what are you doing? So I became unafraid. I no longer hid
Oh,
out, and I would answer the hard questions if somebody asked one. Because I'm not going to say I haven't been in bars sober, because I have. I play Golden Tee, and my friends play Golden Tee. So I'm like, the only place you can find a Golden Tee machine is in a bar. So
right.
showing up at a bar to play Golden Tee, and your kid like, why are you in a bar? I'm in a bar, and I have a breathalyzer on me at all times. My kids can be like, blow. I'm like, are you serious? But I'll blow for them because they think it's funny at this point.
Yeah.
Which is nice that they've taken a little humor, but it blows doubles, blows all zeros. So Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing that you do that though, and that's a good I feel like that's a good way of keeping yourself accountable and having your kids, like you said, it was one of the things that you wanted to do for your children to be more present parents and more I mean, you were there but not fully there, like you said. So that's amazing that you included them too, because I feel like that's a part probably that helps them heal and build
That,
that trust again.
and that's why I do that a lot, is to allow them the room to heal. Because, when you drink and do things, you don't realize the collateral damage that you do create. You tell yourself, fine, but there's a lot of collateral damage. And your children typically are the epicenter of that. And to give them tools without them even realizing that, hey, you've been handed tools to heal, it's empowering them in their own healing journey, even though they're 13 and 22 now, but they have the tools that they don't even realize they have to heal.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
hopefully I don't have to worry about this road with them later on. I'm healing so they don't have to.
Exactly. Losing over 100 pounds, what did that journey teach you?
Patience. I was always an athlete, but through, right before COVID, I had a knee injury. Then came all the alcohol, because what do you do when you can't go anywhere? Ohio opened up where you could do carry out alcohol. So I'm like, oh, that's great. So I'd sit down in the basement, play some video games, and you don't realize what you're eating and drinking. And that was about the time that I was a big drinker at home, because the bar wasn't open.
Right.
So getting into that journey, it started slow. I was up to 287 pounds. I've lost just short of 100. I haven't
Okay.
lost 100. Started slow, and then, I pushed it like I would have as an athlete when I was younger. And I had a grade 3 calf injury, pushed again, then came a grade 3 calf and Achilles injury. It taught me patience. You're not going, no quick fix. There are quick fixes out there you can buy that'll help you drop weight in 90 days. Quick fixes out there that you can buy that require work, that teach you how to keep that weight off. There's a difference in just losing it versus learning to keep it off.
Yeah, you're right. There are those diets where it's like, oh, you can take this or you can do this and you're going to lose it this quick. And then you like change it. I always say if you're going to do something, you might as well do it like as a lifestyle change, like, you
Right.
know? So, how are addiction and physical health connected?
That means when you have an addictive personality, you're going to addict to something else. And that's basically what has happened with me. Taking that addictive side of my brain, and the endorphins that are released when you work out are similar to the endorphins that you're going to feel when you put substance in your body. It's all, one is driven by beer, alcohol, narcotics, whatever that might be, or you can release that, and they release it, or you can go release it naturally by running, lifting weights. But when you do it the natural way, when you wake up the next morning, your head doesn't hurt and you have a smile on your face.
Yes.
They both give you similar. Euphoria is probably not the right word, but as far as general happiness, one is healthy for you, one's not. And it really is just a simple decision. Do you want to wake up tomorrow feeling like you got hit by a truck because you wanted to unnaturally release those feelings in the body?
Mm,
I
that's
think that,
good.
not, I can go further, but I
No,
think
that's good. That's a perfect explanation and it makes complete sense. So, how did discipline become an act of self-respect, not punishment?
yeah. I'm not going to say it's still not a little bit of a punishment, because with me, it's the body has to hurt more than the mind does still. We're only 526 days into this journey. The shame and the regret, it's not as prevalent. The self respect came from finally telling myself I was better than the alcohol. I'm like, hey, this isn't who you are. It's not who God designed you to be. So why don't you respect yourself enough to stop putting yourself in these situations? and go do something that's healthy. So the self-respect drives the desire to go make my muscles hurt,
Mm.
to remind me, hey, it's going to be okay. Now you can go rest because you're thinking about the chest hurt in that workout, not the, hey, I shouldn't have made this mistake while I was drinking. So go to bed.
Yes.
That's
No.
how,
Yep.
but
No, that's good. How is life different now at 526 days sober?
it's other than I remember everything, it's still just as complicated. You just don't put those complications off, and you learn how to, anybody in sobriety, one of our big things why we use is we didn't know how to handle anything. Oh, it's a celebration. Well, let's go drink. Oh, somebody passed away. Okay, well, we should go mourn them while drinking. Or I got fired from my job. Oh, I'm stressed. I'm gonna go drink. Or I got this big promotion. Oh, great. Let's go drink. Well, now it's all these things happen and you learn how to deal with those emotions as they come each day. Newsflash to people, alcoholics don't know how to be happy. They don't understand how to handle happiness. We always thought happiness meant, oh, it's a chance to go drink. Well, no, we don't know how to handle just pure joy. So each in this sobriety adventure is learning, oh, what's that emotion? All right, well, that's how that made me feel, and this is how I should handle that feeling. So,
Yeah, no, that's good that you were able to realize that you can process your emotions and it's okay to process your emotions and figuring out how to do that so that you can release it too. When you're drinking, it's not really there. You're not really thinking about it.
right.
You're putting it in that box, like you said, where now being sober, you're unpacking those boxes
So,
and hopefully letting it go too.
before you would cry drunk because you were sad, and then the day you would just blame it on the alcohol. Well, but I'm a guy. It drives me insane when guys are like, I'm a man. I don't cry. No, that's the exact opposite of the way that works. Men cry. Men are emotionally mature.
Mhm.
How it works. So now when I cry, I'm like, man, that sucks. Wish I get rid of that. But crying's healthy. It gets it out. Like
It
there is
is.
healthy release when you cry, and it triggers all the serotonin and endorphins to go through your body because trying to counter that sadness at that point. So crying a joy. And that's one of the things I've learned through sobriety. Oh, it wasn't the alcohol while I was crying. I was sad. Like I was really sad. So
Yeah. What does freedom actually feel like?
it feels good in the mornings when I get up. Like I don't have to worry about, if I don't want to work out today, great. I don't have to worry about working off 17 beers and 26 shots and 37,000 boneless wings last night. I ate healthy last night. I stopped when I was supposed to. My kids, there's no, hey, I need you to wait a couple hours before we go do something because my head hurts. Okay, you guys want to go somewhere? Let's go do it. So freedom just looks like joy and happiness. And worry about a cop being behind me, whether it be 2 in the morning or 8 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon. I don't worry about pulling out of dinner with my children and a cop getting in there like, oh, you made a left turn. Why do I smell alcohol? And there's kids in the car. Like that's what freedom looks like. Freedom just looks like, hey, pull me over, or hey, let me stop in the store and talk and not worry about somebody thinking that something's off.
Mhm.
And just
Yeah.
in a sense of peace that everything's going to eventually be okay. That's kind of what freedom feels like.
Yes. Yes. Why did you feel called to coach others?
Because how many men and women, men are a little more stubborn. We are a very stubborn breed. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. We don't like to admit that there's a problem, and we don't like there's a problem to another guy. It's showing you that some of the things you're doing, you are better than. So it's just really trying to help people find what I found. I coach people. You don't have to be sober for me to coach you. And a lot of people get lost in that because I'm a sober fitness faith coach.
Mhm.
You be a Christian for me to coach you. You don't have to be any of that. What I need from you is just desire to be a better person. Are we going to have conversations about faith? I'm probably going to dig in there a little bit to see what the block is, but you don't have to believe what I believe. That's the free will part. Do you have to not drink? No, but I'm going to have a conversation with you about your relationship with substance or alcohol to
Mhm.
see the responsible use. And if it's a responsible use, hats off to you because I couldn't do it responsibly. But if you're able to, great. Ultimately, is to help people find those mental blocks and to get past them and
Mhm.
to speak better to themselves. Because at the end of the day, anybody that's stuck, typically it comes down to how do you talk to yourself? How do you view yourself? What do we need to overcome within? It's not the rest of the world talking to you, it's you talking to you. And that's what needs to change. And a lot of people struggle with that. Anybody can
You
get that.
exactly, and that's why you want to share it, right? So that you can help others get past that.
It's never too late. I mean, I started this sobriety journey at 46 years old. It is absolutely never, ever too late. My grandfather, who was the largest alcoholic on the planet, he got sober, I want to say he was 67. He spent the last 2 or 3 years of his life sober and he went through all the withdrawals and the detoxes. So it is never too late to find a different way to live.
Yes, exactly. It is never too late. I say even at what like you said 48, 58, 68, 78, we can change no matter what, you
And,
know?
yeah, flip side of that coin is it's never too early.
Yep, exactly.
Like I got all my life left. When you decide today, like, hey, I know I need to fix that, but I'm going to wait till tomorrow to do it, you've added 3 days to that. So especially
Mm,
telling yourself, I'm going to start tomorrow, you've kicked the can 90 days down the road. Well, that's 270 more days. So ultimately, pushing down the road for 3 months adds a year. So you could be
mm.
22 telling yourself you're going to be better, and tell yourself a couple times between 22 to 25, you're waking up at 40, like, I still need to overcome this. So it's never too late or too early.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this journey with us. And I would love for you to you did share a little bit, but like your platform, like where can they find you and what's your website, just so that they can connect with you if they were impacted and would love to know more about you and maybe get a coaching session from you.
I'm on LinkedIn as my name. It's Kelly King. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and I'm Mindset Coach King, MINDSET, the word coach and King. And then my website is Storm, STORM 41, the number 41, coaching.com. And you can go in there and you can see the programs that are for purchase. You don't have to buy my services. You can still buy my mental and physical programs. And from there is a click to apply button so I can work with you if you would like to over a 90-day period. I do offer a guarantee if I'm not able to get you down 10% in body weight or 10% of your body fat percentage in a 90-day period, I will work with you up to 2 more months at no cost until we do accomplish these things. Because as the mind gets better, the body should follow. So I can only gauge your mind where you're at by the physical transformation you're going through.
Yes. Yes. And also have the information in the show notes. Again, I am so thankful for you coming on. And if you're listening right now and you feel stuck, this episode was for you. Addiction doesn't define you, your past doesn't disqualify you, and your breaking point might actually be your beginning.
Right.
Freedom starts in the mind, but it is sustained by discipline and God. If this episode spoke to you, share it with somebody who needs hope today. And this is Rise on Faith, where we rise together.